uniquely privileged to bear during so much of my life and duty.
I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody.
Who would have thought that Queen Camilla would be excluded from King Charles's will after decades of devotion? King Charles's startling choice has caused a stir in the court and rendered Queen Camilla mute. What might have caused this to occur, and what impact does this have on the relationship between the king and queen? As we unveil the specifics of this royal drama, stay tuned. Around the world, many were shocked to learn that King Charles had left Queen Camilla out of his will. How could she be excluded from something so important by the guy who spent decades fighting for her love? Let's start by discussing these royals' recent acrimonious relationship. The pressure on Queen Camilla that is not visible. For months, unrest had been simmering quietly within the gates of Buckingham Palace. Even their closest confidants were surprised by the increasing tension between a couple who had previously been the epitome of love in the face of adversity. According to insiders, King Charles and his queen consort were developing an irrefutable rift that was so severe that it was about to jeopardize their 20-year marriage. The cause is King Charles's unyielding obstinacy, deteriorating health, and a demanding royal schedule that would exhaust a man half his age. An insider told the National Enquirer that he no longer listens to her. This was more than a small argument for Camilla. It was a serious emergency. Once the only person King Charles would confide in for counsel, she was now marginalized and her cries were ignored. Having known Charles for more than half a century, Camilla has consistently been his strongest confidant and supporter. But terror now accompanied her loyalty. She was afraid her spouse was putting himself at risk of dying young. Charles had become even more determined to continue his royal duties after receiving a cancer diagnosis earlier in the year. Despite the difficult chemotherapy treatment, the 75-year-old king has not slowed down. The source disclosed that she pleaded with him to make cuts. Next month, his international tour to Australia, she begged him to put it off, but none of it will be heard by King Charles. He has responded in a chilly and uncompromising manner. He keeps saying, "There's no point being king if you're not going to act like one." The insider went on to say that Camilla finds it quite frustrating. Charles's dedication may appear admirable to the outside world. To those closest to him, however, it was almost irresponsible. He thinks that in order to be believed, the monarchy must be seen. After 70 years of waiting to ascend to the throne, he is resolved to make his imprint as soon as possible. Despite knowing that he will never be able to match his mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, he is determined to succeed. His motto is, "The crown comes first, health be damned." During a supposedly relaxing vacation to Scotland's Balmoral Castle, the couple's tensions increased. Charles had recently received chemotherapy once more. Before he could even unpack, he was in the air. Everyone was taken aback, particularly Camilla, by his decision to cancel his planned vacation. According to a source, he had just participated in the customary welcoming ritual, and he disappeared by himself a few hours later. After 3 young children were killed at a dancing lesson with a Taylor Swift theme, King Charles travelled to Southport, a town recovering from unimaginable grief. The king flew to London for cancer treatment after attending a private meeting with bereaved family, then returned to Balmoral as if nothing had happened. Camilla was furious. It was too much for her to handle. The tipster indicated she was angry. She pleaded with him not to cancel the vacation. She is aware of the physical toll this schedule is having on. However, Charles being Charles, he gave her no attention at all. According to insiders, Camilla eventually broke down in tears due to the emotional strain of the situation. She was furious. Camilla had done everything in her power to gain her position alongside Charles after being labelled the mistress who destroyed Diana's marriage for years. It was nearly unbearable to think of him failing and leaving her alone and widowed. According to a royal insider, she is afraid. Charles is now lighter, he appears weak. Even though his health is clearly declining, he won't listen. Camilla is concerned about her own position in the palace in the event that Charles passes out. Not simply about him, The tension between them was evident when Charles returned to their Highland retreat. According to an insider, it was like walking on ice. Camilla spoke to him hardly at all. She feels excluded, undervalued, and disregarded. Heaven forbid she's the queen. In this, she is meant to be his partner. Charles, however, was not going to give up. Slowing down meant failure to him. According to the insider, he is aware that Prince William and Princess Kate are already attracting public attention. The younger generation is what people want. Additionally, Charles feels he must maintain the monarchy as Kate fights her own cancer. He won't appear weak. To Camilla, however, it was not so. The mole clarified that she wants him to put his recuperation first. Charles doesn't want to hear that she has personally witnessed how chemotherapy is exhausting him. No one, not even Camilla, can convince him that he is not in charge. In addition to the growing tension, it was revealed that Charles had abandoned Camilla against his will. The betrayal was particularly painful for a woman who had supported him during decades of scandal, mockery, and hardship. This was not a snap decision. It had been planned for months, according to sources. According to one source, Camilla was stunned. This was a slap in the face after everything she had to go through to become queen. Her years of loyalty seemed to be inconsequential. Charles, too? He won't budge. Charles made the choice because he was determined to ensure the future of the monarchy. He guarantees the continuation of the royal line by mostly leaving his fortune and legacy to Prince William and his offspring. The source went on to say that Charles saw this as his responsibility. For Camilla, it's a betrayal. According to the insider, she is upset that he is ignoring her worries. He could always be calmed by Camilla, who has always been the voice of reason. He is now excluding her, which is causing a rift between them. King Charles prioritizes the crown. There is nothing Camilla can do to stop the guy she loves from slipping away. It's unnerving to witness someone you care about put themselves through so much hardship. Camilla has been concerned about Charles' relentless schedule and unwavering sense of duty ever since he took the king. She has consistently been his dependable companion and support system. However, it appears that her worry has suddenly grown into something more significant. Perhaps there is another worry, a future she isn't quite prepared to face, hidden beneath those gentle smiles and well-chosen words. It's no secret that if Charles's prognosis ever deteriorated, Queen Camilla would not become the reigning queen. That's where the problem is. Charles is the only one who can secure Camilla's place in the monarchy. Although she currently goes by the title of Queen Consort, that title reflects her status as his wife rather than as a monarch. In the unlikely event that King Charles's life is cut short, Camilla would take on a completely new title, Queen Dowager. Don't you think that sounds official? In actuality, though, the term Queen Dowager just identifies her as a king's widow, a lady left behind after the kingdom has progressed. It would then be sent directly to Prince William, who is currently the Prince of Wales. For centuries, the laws governing succession have been inscribed in stone, molded by the passage of time. The concept of bloodline succession began to take hold in the 11th century, when England was overrun. Later, it was codified in the Act of Settlement in 1701, the Bill of Rights in 1689, and most recently, the Succession to the Crown Act in 2013. There has always been one thing that is obvious. The throne is not passed down to the spouses of current rulers. Their functions complement, not replace, those of their partners. Camilla would therefore become one of many royal widows who spent their lives as leaders rather than decision-makers if King Charles's prognosis turns out to be fatal. History has heard this tale before. For instance, Queen Adelaide. The death of her husband, King William IV, in 1837 became Adelaide Queen Dowager. Adelaide and William were childless, just like Charles and Camilla. As a result, William's niece, a young lady who is now known as the fabled Queen Victoria, inherited the crown. Next was Joan of Navarre, who succeeded her husband, King Henry IV, as Queen Dowager. Despite being King Henry IV's stepmother, she had no influence on his reign. Although they were respected, the women in both situations were eventually marginalized, and their impact waned as soon as their husbands passed away. Camilla now has to deal with a similar situation. The idea of being a queen dowager must be like watching all she worked so hard to achieve, fighting public scrutiny, and gaining a position in Charles's world, fall into obscurity. Standing tall at Charles's coronation, she transformed from the other lady to queen consort. However, it's difficult to avoid wondering what will happen when her title is reduced to a minor footnote in royal history in the shadow of his illness. One may argue that the couple's conflict is being exacerbated by this impending reality. Camilla, after all, is aware of what it's like to be scrutinized by the public, to be misinterpreted, and to feel helpless. Maybe King Charles is feeling the burden of his legacy, which is why he is pushing himself to the limit. However, Camilla, something quite different weighs on her. Camilla's world changes when Charles is gone. When William, the Prince of Wales, ascends to the throne, she is left behind as the monarchy moves forward. Therefore, Charles's condition poses a threat to more than simply his life. It jeopardizes her position in the narrative. For the time being, she bears her own unsaid anxieties while she watches him bear the weight of his crown. And perhaps, just possibly, it is the reason it bothers her so much, because Camilla will lose more than just her husband if King Charles works himself to death. Everything she battled for is being taken away from her. And another storm is developing, adding to the already simmering animosity between King Charles and Queen Camilla. The notorious scandal of the royal mansion. This could be the decisive factor affecting some of the king's most important choices. Camilla's royal villa scandal. The royal villa, a historic property treasured by the monarchy's generations, has recently become the focus of controversy. At the center of it all is Queen Camilla, who startled even the most seasoned royal observers with a daring and unconventional move. The tea is here. Camilla made a decision that went against King Charles's explicit order that the royal villa remain jointly owned by the family. She took over the property without permission or consultation, essentially severing it from the royal family's common pool. She allegedly felt that the villa should be hers to enjoy alone, free from outside intrusion or joint responsibilities. Here's the catch, though. As a location for royal meetings and family get-togethers, the royal villa has a special place in the monarchy. In addition to being considered audacious, Camilla's acts were considered unlawful and, worse, unapproved by royal protocol. King Charles was obviously quite distressed. He was troubled by the occurrence, especially as he started to think about his legacy and make decisions about his will. Princess Anne, however, is the royal most impacted by Camilla's audacious action. It would be an understatement to say she was unhappy. According to reports, Anne told close friends that she couldn't take that villa. The monarchy, not a single person, owns it. The fact that Anne had previously praised Camilla made her response all the more noteworthy. Not one to hold back, Anne has publicly praised Camilla on multiple occasions. Last year, Anne talked eloquently about her sister-in-law's position in the monarchy in the Charles III, the Coronation BBC documentary. Anne opened up, "I've known her for a long time off and on. She had an excellent grasp of her role and the impact it has on the king, and she even acknowledged how Camilla had adapted to her new role as queen, saying, this role is not something that she would have been a natural for, but she does it really well and she provides that change of speed and tone." It says volumes about the seriousness of the problem that someone like Anne would openly criticize Camilla's behavior. But despite all, Camilla appeared unconcerned and was seen having a quiet night out at the theatre, while the royal family dealt with the aftermath. Camilla, who chose simplicity over grandeur, by choosing a Ford Transit minibus over the state Bentley, a surprising choice for a queen, went to see Operation Mincemeat at the Fortune Theatre, and then was spotted returning to Clarence House without the customary royal escort. Her low-key outing coincided with reports that the Duke and Duchess of York were calling off their Christmas plans at Sandringham, which added even more intrigue to the royal drama. Queen Camilla, the royal power play, waited years for her moment in the royal spotlight, supported Queen Elizabeth from the sidelines, and played her role with grace and patience, always knowing her time would come. Despite her seeming indifference to the recent controversy, Queen Camilla cannot conceal her worries about losing her role to Princess Kate. Although Camilla is well aware that Prince William will inherit the throne in the future, her relationship with his wife, Kate Middleton, complicates the inevitable transition. According to a source close to the royal family, who spoke to Us Weekly, Camilla has fully embraced her new role as queen and treated it with the utmost seriousness. Now that she is finally sitting on the throne next to King Charles, it appears that she is not in any hurry to relinquish the power and influence she has worked so hard to achieve. According to The Insider, she is incredibly happy with her duties and has always dreamed of being queen, so she isn't ready to relinquish control just yet. This is where things get a little heated. Let's just say their relationship has always been frosty, and there's been tension between them for years, the source said, adding that Camilla is especially reluctant to hand over her responsibilities to Kate. However, don't assume that William and Kate are just watching. The Prince and Princess of Wales have been preparing for their eventual role as monarchs for a while now, and according to Insider, they are confident and ready to introduce a new, contemporary style of governance that they hope will be a welcome change for the monarchy. The Insider also stated that Camilla's health has recently brought another level of complexity to this royal tale, and that William and Kate are more than prepared to step up when the time comes. They have been preparing for this moment for years. The princess welcomed the Emir of Qatar during his 2-day visit to the UK last week, taking on what would normally be a queen's responsibility. Kate has been praised for her professionalism and poise as she has stepped up to take over from the Queen, who has been forced to scale back her royal duties due to a month-long bout of pneumonia. The princess is feeling optimistic about the future, a royal insider told the Mirror, and she's looking forward to representing the family during this state visit and beyond. Even King Charles, who held a luncheon for the Emir, seems impressed by Kate's increasing confidence on the international scene. As she navigates her growing role, her profession gives her concentration and a sense of purpose. However, Camilla hasn't completely vanished as she attended the private luncheon with the Emir despite her illness, and then made a stunning showing at the evening state dinner. Doctors have reportedly advised the Queen to rest as much as possible, but her attendance at these important events shows that she's not ready to fade into the background just yet. After all, Camilla has spent a lifetime waiting for this moment, but Kate decided to skip the banquet, leaving Camilla to hold court in her own subtle yet regal way. Kate's gradual ascent through the royal ranks may seem smooth, but it's obvious that the change of power won't be without its difficulties. This brings us to Queen Camilla's reaction to King Charles's choice, which was just as shocking as the rest of the audience. The reaction of Queen Camilla to King Charles's choice. King Charles had not taken the decision to remove Queen Camilla from his will lightly, and the villa incident had only served as a trigger, forcing him to reconsider not only Camilla's place in the monarchy, but also the wider ramifications of her actions. She had defied royal protocol and tradition by claiming the royal villa as her private retreat, which had been a seismic event within the family, challenging not only the rules, but also the values that supported the monarchy itself. And for Charles, tradition was not just an abstract concept, but the cornerstone upon which the crown rested. Additionally, he has protected the institution he had vowed to defend, and his duty as king extends beyond the present to encompass future generations. Charles revealed that she would no longer be included in his will, which was a surprise to Camilla, who had always felt safe in her position by his side and had no idea of what was to happen when he eventually sat down with her to discuss his will. He attempted to explain that it was about the future of the monarchy, but Camilla was immediately taken aback and sat in startled silence, the seriousness of his remarks bearing down on her. It felt like a betrayal to be left out of Charles's legacy after Camilla had been there for him through thick and thin, not only as his wife, but also as his confidant and ally. Charles was also quite conflicted. He had always been passionately protective of Camilla, frequently protecting her from criticism within the family, so this was not an easy decision for him, but the pressure was too great this time. The villa incident had opened a Pandora's box of questions about Camilla's role in the future of the monarchy, and although Charles loved her, he couldn't ignore the wider implications of her actions, and Anne's firm stance on the subject, combined with whispers from other royal advisors, had left him with little leeway. He was more than a husband. He was a king, whose job it was to maintain the security and longevity of the throne. Though there were differing views inside the royal household, some agreed with Charles's choice, seeing it as an essential measure to maintain the integrity of the monarchy. Others, however, felt that considering Camilla's years of devotion and duty, it was a cruel and merciless move. Do you believe King Charles made the correct choice? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and remember to like and subscribe for more news. Thank you for viewing, and please click on the next video on your screen if you like this story.